There comes a time in every 3D printer owner's life where he will make a fidget spinner. This is my time. Been watching a lot of videos on people making fidget spinners. So how about we go to the computer and we design one up in Fusion 360.
So first we're going to create a sketch on the bottom plane and we're going to create a circle. Now this is to represent the outside dimensions of the bearing. Then we're going to create another circle by using a point to point. I'm going to cut 2 millimeters down. I'll make that 22. So overall dimensions of the one arm from the center is going to be 50 millimeters, and that's a really good sort of size to rotate in your hand. So next we're going to make these a little bit bigger, and that's going to be the outside. So we'll do that again for this. So make this, what is it, 22, it's 25. Okay, so now what I usually do is I'll copy and paste, and I'll move this over to here. See how far we're out. Probably about only 0.5. Say 1. That looks good. And then we'll copy and paste that again, and we'll move that over to here. Okay, so that's pretty much the one arm drawn out. So if we stop this sketch, and all we're going to do is press E for the extrude button, and we're going to extrude all of these parts like so, and we'll put that up, I think it's 7 millimeters. But easy to change if your bearings are a bit bigger. And what's happened here? So this looks a bit thinner, doesn't it? But that's easy to change. We just come back here to this sketch, and we can see, yes, one is a bit larger than the other. So let's check the dimensions. If we press D, we can see the dimensions here. It was, you'll see it's 2 millimeters. So this circle actually needs to be a bit bigger. So delete that, create a new sketch. So we've got 22, should be 25. That. But of course we're working with circles, so it doesn't always like to. There we go. So now we can move these a bit up. So if we go to move, we can move it up 0.25 maybe, yeah. That looks a bit more even. Maybe we can move it even a bit out so we can get a better sort of circle. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Move this out a little bit more. stop that sketch. And of course our extrude has gone all wonky. So we can just come back, delete that extrude, come back to sketches. It's a good thing about the software is you're always able to just go back a bit and just figure it out. So we're gonna go this, this, and this. These little slivers in here. And we'll put this up 7 millimeters. I'll have to double check the size of my bearings, but that should do for now. So from here we need to do, just like in the Ninja Star build, we'll do a pattern. So we'll come over to here, create pattern, circular pattern, and we'll select bodies, and we'll select our axis as the green axis, and we want 3, and press OK. Now, when I went to print with the Ninja Star, I had lots of issues, and I had to fix it in Microsoft. But I've worked out what I did wrong. So what we need to do is come up to Modify, Combine, and we need to select this, and we need to select these two here, and that'll combine all those different pieces into one solid object. So from here, this is basically a spinner. You could print this out and put some bearings in and go for your life. But I want to make it a bit more special, I guess. So what we'll do is we'll create a new sketch actually on the bottom plane. And we'll create a couple of circles. So we'll make this 67. And we'll create another one at 85. Okay, so we'll stop that sketch there, and we're going to extrude this up. So not all the way. I'm sure there's a easier way of doing this, but I've just found this way to be easy for me. So we'll join that, we'll go OK, and then I can just select these 3 faces, extrude, cut them out, and then extrude these up again so they're nice and level. Done. I think that looks pretty cool. So I did create another little drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a new plane on the top. Okay, and I'm going to create a new sketch on this plane, and I'm going to import a DXF file that I created in Illustrator. So that is on my desktop here. Whoa. Okay, so let's change those dimensions to millimeter. That looks a bit better. So I'll bring that across up. So I'm guessing this is going to and that looks about in the center. We'll go OK to that. We'll stop the sketch, and we're going to extrude all of these letters. Okay, so now we've got all of those selected. We can cut them out. So we've got about 2 millimeters. We'll go OK. That gives a nice personal touch. So now I'm going to go through and fillet the whole thing, and then we'll come back. Okay, and we're back. So now that I've gone through and filleted all the edges, it's looking a bit nicer, and it's going to be a bit easier to get off the build plate just with these curved edges. So let's go ahead and we'll save it as a SVG file, and we'll print it on the 3D printer. So let's go to the time lapse.
Just got this off the build plate. How about we get down and dirty and we'll put this thing together. Okay, so I've made a few little design changes. This was the original design that I made, but I found that these were a bit too thin. As you can see, I actually cracked one when trying to put a bearing in it, and I just found the whole thing quite large and hard to spin in your hand. So I went back and I changed some dimensions up, and I came up with this one. This one, again, it was a bit too thin around here, but I did make the holes 0.1 of a millimeter bigger to get the bearings in a lot nicer, because I can get those in here, but on this big one, I had to really press fit it in. So 0.1 millimeters of difference in the model makes a huge difference in the part. So again, I didn't like how these letters came out, and I just thought the band was a bit too thin for the actual thickness of it, and also I've made it a bit smaller. So then I went back and changed some dimensions again, and this is the final one. So you can see the actual words a lot nicer. This is a bit thicker, so it's a bit stronger, and again, the bearings fit nicely. So how about we put this one together? So these are just cheapo bearings that I got off eBay, and they fit in there really nicely. And the one bearing that matters is actually a Reds bearing. I'll show you the packaging on the screen now. But these are really nice skateboard bearings, and as you can see, the bearings fit in there really nice, and they're nice and tight, they're not going anywhere. I also printed a couple of caps just to make it a bit easier to spin. So just pop them on, and when I designed these up, I made these, the actual pins, 0.1 millimeters just too big. And that way they have a nice press fit into the center of the bearing. And make sure that you put this little lip on the button, so this piece of the bearing has something to rest on. Otherwise, the underside of the cap is actually going to rub on the bearing, and you're going to get a horrible noise, as I found out. So, but now it spins really nicely, and I've found it quite useful and nice and relaxing to play with while I'm either watching YouTube videos or making some designs in Fusion 360. But yeah, let's go back up and I'll tell you a bit more about it. So this was a pretty simple design in Fusion 360. You know, I love the fact that, you know, we can get a couple of little iterations out, you know, very, very quickly on a 3D printer, and customize it exactly how you want it. So it's been really nice to sort of play with it, and it's been quite nice to get your mind focused while you're designing something in Fusion 360 or just watching YouTube videos or whatever. It's nice and quiet, especially with this high-end bearing in here. So it spins really nicely, and it spins for a long time. So other than that, I think this was a success, and I hope you like it. So remember to hit that like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and I'll see you later. Before we go, let's see how long this thing spins for. One minute 17. Not too bad. I've seen better, but this will do for my needs.